Um, Hi, Virgo. Thank you for being here. Anna here with Virgo. Virgo, and what I'm about to reveal demands absolute discretion. Subscribe because this sensitivity requires your full awareness. You're holding or about to receive intelligence that creates immediate burden of confidentiality, where speaking prematurely would trigger consequences you can't reverse, where premature disclosure damages outcomes that silence protects, where loose lips genuinely sink ships in ways that aren't just metaphorical but actual and consequential. This isn't casual preference for privacy about minor personal matters. This isn't just wanting to keep something to yourself because it feels special. This is necessity level secrecy. This is information that burns when shared at wrong time with wrong people. This is knowledge that serves you through containment and sabotages you through revelation. The stakes justify the discomfort of staying quiet, even when staying quiet feels isolating, even when you desperately want to process through speaking, even when silence itself becomes a heavy thing to carry. And the urgency, that signals time sensitivity around the concealment. That indicates window exists where premature exposure creates maximum damage, where holding your tongue for specific duration matters enormously, where just a few more days or weeks of sealed lips determines whether the thing protected flourishes or gets destroyed before it can fully develop. The countdown is active, the vulnerability period is current, the need for discretion is immediate, not eventual. In the particular pressure of carrying sensitive information alone is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than you're navigating territory. Most people handle poorly. Most people crack under weight of knowing what others don't know. Most people relieve their own discomfort through sharing, even when sharing harms the very outcome they claim to desire. Your capacity to remain silent despite internal pressure to speak, despite external curiosity probing for information, despite your own need for validation or processing or witnesses. This capacity determines whether a protected thing survives to maturity or gets exposed prematurely to elements that destroy it. Let me illuminate what dynamics might be demanding your absolute silence. In the landscape of situations requiring enforced quiet, several categories consistently appear. Developing opportunities fall high on the list. You're in talks for position or deal or collaboration that hasn't finalized yet, where announcing too early jinxes the manifestation, where speaking before contracts, sign, or decisions finalize invites interference or creates pressure that collapses fragile emerging possibility. The opportunity needs protected space to gestate before it can withstand public scrutiny or competitive interference. Your current circumstances might involve exactly this kind of professional or financial development requiring total lockdown. You're being considered for something significant. You're in negotiation for something valuable. You're positioning for something that would dramatically improve your situation, and any whisper of it before it's official could derail the entire process. Mm. People talk, word spreads, suddenly there's competition you didn't have, or questions you can't answer, or expectations you can't manage. And the thing that was forming dissolves before it can solidify. Watch for signs you're in this territory. Conversations happening that feel important but tentative. Possibilities presenting that aren't promises yet. Movement toward outcome that hasn't crystallized into commitment. These liminal states require sanctuary from premature exposure. They need your protection through non-disclosure until they transition from potential into confirmed reality that can withstand being known. Some secrecy protects emerging relationships. You're developing connection with someone where external awareness would complicate the natural unfolding, where other people's opinions or questions or interference would poison something delicate that needs privacy to discover what it actually is before having to defend or explain or justify itself to outside observers. The relationship isn't ready for witnesses, isn't solid enough to handle scrutiny, isn't defined enough to withstand interrogation. You might be navigating exactly this kind of relational beginning that demands concealment. You're exploring something with someone where speaking about it invites chaos you're not prepared to manage, where family opinions or friend skepticism or ex partner reactions would create pressure that crushes budding connection before it can prove whether it has real substance. Silence becomes sanctuary, privacy becomes protection. Your refusal to discuss becomes the container that allows authentic development without external contamination. Still, other secrets protect plans or decisions that would be undermined if revealed before execution. You've decided to relocate but haven't secured new position in new city yet. You've determined to end relationship but haven't found right moment for conversation. You've committed to major change but haven't completed groundwork that makes change viable. Speaking the intention before having infrastructure to support it either creates obligation before readiness or invites sabotage from those threatened by your evolution. The plan needs protection until conditions exist for successful implementation. This reflection invites you to consider which category best describes the secret demanding your current silence. Let me clarify what the emphatic tone reveals about seriousness of consequences. The multiple emojis pleading for discretion, the urgent framing, the stacked warnings, all signal this isn't suggestion you can take or leave based on comfort level. This is imperative you must honor if you want to preserve what silence protects. The consequences of premature sharing aren't just disappointing or awkward, they're genuinely damaging in ways that can't be easily repaired once the damage occurs. In the calculus of whether information merits this level of containment, you assess what breaks if you speak versus what strains if you stay silent. If speaking destroys opportunity, ruins relationship, exposes plan to interference that prevents execution, then silence, however uncomfortable, serves outcomes that matter more than your immediate comfort with holding the information alone. If speaking merely relieves your need for processing, but doesn't create actual benefit while silence preserves something valuable, then silence is obviously correct choice, even when it's difficult choice. It's essential you distinguish between secrecy that serves healthy development versus secrecy that enables harmful dynamics. Healthy secrets protect things legitimately needing incubation period before exposure, protecting new relationship from premature judgment, protecting business deal from competitive interference, protecting personal decision from coercive pressure to conform. Unhealthy secrets conceal abusive behavior, enable ongoing deception, maintain injustice through silence that prevents accountability. Some situations genuinely require the silence being requested. The development actually would be harmed by exposure. The protection actually serves legitimate purpose. The temporary concealment facilitates outcome that benefits you or benefits situation appropriately. These secrets have expiration dates built in. The plan is always to eventually share when timing is right. The silence is temporary strategic choice, not permanent hiding. You likely face exactly this kind of justified temporary silence. Where speaking now damages what staying quiet preserves, where the information will eventually be shared, but premature sharing specifically creates problems that patience avoids, where the request for your silence serves purposes you can verify as legitimate rather than manipulation designed to keep you complicit in something harmful. But other situations use secrecy to control, isolate, or manipulate. Someone demands your silence about something you actually should speak about. Someone wants you quiet because exposure would reveal wrongdoing. They're concealing. Someone frames necessary secret as their preference when actually silence serves their agenda at your expense. These secrets feel different. They create different internal pressure. They often come with threats or guilt if you consider speaking. This reflection invites you to consider: does the requested silence feel protective of something valuable or controlling of your freedom to speak truth? Let me address what carrying secrets alone actually does to your internal state and relationships. Sustained concealment creates specific psychological effects worth acknowledging: isolation from inability to process through normal channels, anxiety about accidental revelation, cognitive load from managing what you say versus what you know, relational distance from people you're withholding information from. These effects accumulate. The longer you carry heavy secret, the more it costs you, even when you're committed to carrying it. In the necessity of self-care while maintaining silence, you need outlets for pressure, even if you can't reveal actual content. Physical exercise discharges an accumulated tension. Creative expression allows processing without direct disclosure. Journaling to yourself provides witness to your experience without external sharing. Spiritual or meditative practice helps carry burdens that can't be verbalized to others. You require strategies for managing weight that don't involve breaking the confidentiality. It's critical you monitor yourself for signs that secrecy is genuinely harming you versus just making you uncomfortable. Significant anxiety interfering with functioning, physical symptoms without medical basis, relationship withdrawal beyond what situation requires, obsessive rumination about the secret, desperate impulses to tell despite knowing you shouldn't. If keeping secret is making you unwell in ways that exceed normal discomfort of holding something alone, you might need professional support bound by confidentiality rather than continuing to soldier through solo. Some people carrying secrets long term forget why they're keeping them. The original reasons blur while habit of silence persists. They continue concealment automatically without reassessing whether it still serves. Periodic evaluation prevents this drift, asking yourself, are the reasons I began maintaining silence still valid? Has anything changed, making disclosure now more appropriate than it was when I started keeping quiet? Am I continuing from actual necessity or just from momentum? You might benefit from exactly this conscious reassessment, examining whether the urgency to stay silent still applies with same force it applied initially, whether circumstances have shifted in ways that make the information less sensitive than it was, whether timeline for eventual disclosure has been met, or whether continued containment still serves legitimate purpose. Being intentional about ongoing silence rather than defaulting to it maintains your agency. This reflection invites you to consider: how is maintaining this silence actually affecting your well-being, and what support would help you carry it more sustainably? Let me speak to what eventually happens with information requiring temporary concealment. Most secrets with legitimate protective purpose eventually get revealed. The job offer gets announced once it's accepted. The relationship goes public once it's established enough to withstand scrutiny. The plan gets shared once groundwork is complete and execution begins. The silence was temporary container serving specific developmental phase, not permanent state designed to hide indefinitely. In the transition from secret to known, there's often relief mixed with vulnerability. Relief that you no longer carry burden alone. Vulnerability that what was protected now faces whatever responses come from being exposed. Your preparation for this transition matters. Thinking ahead about how you'll share when sharing becomes appropriate, who you'll tell first, what you'll say, how you'll handle various responses. Advanced consideration makes the revelation smoother. It's important you recognize that some people in your life might feel hurt they weren't told earlier, might struggle with feeling excluded from significant development in your life, might question your trust in them when they learn you held information back. Having explanation ready that respects their feelings while honoring why silence was necessary helps navigate these conversations. I wanted to tell you, and I will tell you everything now, but it needed to stay private until X was secured, often lands better than defensive justification. But some secrets never get revealed because the thing being protected doesn't materialize, the job offer falls through, the relationship ends before going public, the plan gets abandoned before execution. In these cases, you carried the weight for nothing in outcome sense, though the discretion itself might have been still correct choice during the time when the possibility existed. Not every protected possibility becomes manifest reality. You might face either trajectory. The secret you're carrying might be heading toward eventual happy announcement where silence pays off in successful outcome. You can finally celebrate openly, or it might be heading toward quiet dissolution where you process privately that the thing requiring secrecy didn't work out. Either way, your discretion during vulnerable period was appropriate even if outcome varies. This reflection invites you to consider, have you thought about how and when this secret might eventually be shared? Or are you only focused on keeping it contained currently? Urgent, don't say anything to anyone, please. The imperative to maintain absolute silence is immediate and serious. The information you hold or are receiving demands total discretion from you. Premature sharing creates genuine consequences you cannot undo. The protected thing requires your sealed lips to survive its vulnerable development phase. The request isn't preference, it's necessity. The stakes justify the discomfort of isolation that comes with knowing what you cannot yet speak. And your responsibility is honoring the containment while also caring for yourself through the carrying, distinguishing between healthy, protective silence and unhealthy concealment of harm. Periodically reassessing whether continued quiet still serves versus has become habit without purpose. Preparing for eventual disclosure when timing becomes appropriate while respecting urgency of current lockdown. Your discretion protects what's forming, your wisdom about when silence serves versus when it harms guides you through the tension. May you carry what must be carried with integrity. May you protect what needs protection through your silence. May you distinguish between secrecy that serves and secrecy that harms. May you know when silence ends and sharing begins. The secret sits heavy with you. The silence continues protecting. Your discretion serves the outcome. Eventually, the quiet breaks, but not yet. Remember this: being trusted with sensitive information is responsibility, not burden. Being asked to stay silent is invitation to serve the unfolding, not punishment isolating you. Hold what needs holding. Speak when speaking serves. Trust your discernment about the difference. The weight of silence proves the value of what you're protecting. The difficulty of staying quiet confirms the importance of what quiet preserves. You're strong enough to carry this, wise enough to know when carrying ends. Stay silent for now. The timing will come. You'll know when it arrives. Until then, hold steady.